Okay, here's where things get wild. There was this eerie, heavy silence in the palace. Not the calm, formal type you expect from royal halls or the usual hush when a major royal announcement is brewing. No, this was a different kind of silence. The kind that happens right after someone hears something they absolutely weren't supposed to. Because this wasn't just some new gossip or a rogue tabloid headline. This was something else. A full-blown breach, an intelligence leak, a secret recording that someone had buried deep and someone else just dug up. Insiders are whispering and leak reports are flying. Meghan Markle's voice, and let me tell you, it was her, unmistakably her, was caught on a call, but not just any call. She wasn't talking to a friend or an aide. She was speaking to a palace insider. Yes, a mole. And what did she say? Tell me everything about Kate. Those 6 words sent Buckingham Palace into an all-out panic because this wasn't curiosity. This wasn't gossip. This was chilling, dark, calculated, and Twitter exploding. On July 12th at Royal Whistle UK posted, the rumor about a mole inside the palace feeding Meghan info, it's real. MI6 didn't deny it. That's not a good sign. That tweet, a signal flare. Because the tape, long hidden, guarded by Parliament-linked security, had now made its way to the Home Office. And guess what? That tape is part of a massive investigation. It all started with the Princess Charlotte school breach. Then, confidential personnel files vanished from Kensington's internal system. But it was Meghan's voice, her calm, composed voice, that flipped everything upside down. Because Meghan wasn't just looking for news on Kate. She wanted something else, something bigger. She wanted leverage. So of course, the first thing investigators did after confirming the audio was ask, how long has this been happening? Because the tone of that call, way too casual. This wasn't a first-time chat. This was familiar, like 2 people who had talked before. A lot. Insiders believe this mole had been planted in royal ops for more than a year, not in some flashy public role, no, but close enough to know everything, where Kate was going, who she'd be with, even what she was wearing. And Meghan? She allegedly used all of that info not just out of interest, but to plan her moves around Kate's, to sabotage her. A former palace aide even spilled to a senior political journalist that Meghan was tracking Kate's travel, speeches, outfits. Why? To beat her to the punch, to grab the spotlight. Every step Kate planned, Meghan wanted to take it first. On July 13th, at Crown Leaks dropped this bombshell. This is espionage adjacent. If Meghan really used insider info to twist Kate's narrative, it's game over. The palace won't recover quietly. And that phrase, tell me everything about Kate, was just the beginning because Meghan asked follow-ups. What does she have coming up? Has she seen the memo about Africa? Did she write that speech herself? It wasn't angry. It wasn't emotional. It was cold. Calm. Calculating. And the mole? He answered her. In detail. In the leaked excerpt, a man's voice calmly said, she's heading to a strategy meeting Tuesday, probably rehearsing again with that speech coach. I'll get you the itinerary after 5. Who is this man? No one knows yet. But if he was security cleared, and this tape proves collusion, the consequences could tear through the entire royal system. That's when MI6 got involved, and this isn't just headline drama, this is real. Why? Because after the mole offered up Kate's itinerary, Meghan allegedly said something that gave everyone chills. I don't want to be blindsided again. If she's planning a major speech, I want something louder in the press before she opens her mouth. Not curiosity, not a family spat. This was pure strategy. On July 14th, at Royals Decoded tweeted, wait, Meghan was timing her press drops to overshadow Kate's speeches? This is psychological warfare, not a family feud. And suddenly, the puzzle pieces started to fit. Days before Kate gave her emotional speech on child mental health back in April, Meghan appeared in surprise in a podcast and had a headline-grabbing lunch with a U.S. senator. At the time, it felt random. But now it feels staged, planned, surgical. A senior intel official weighed in. This isn't just royal drama anymore. If a royal is using insider info to gain media advantage, it's a national issue. That's when MI6 launched a deeper probe. Not because Meghan's a spy, but because someone inside the palace with clearance had flipped, and everything got thrown under the microscope. Phone logs, security access, even encrypted comms. Internal IT was called in. Why? Because Meghan didn't pull this off alone. Another tweet from July 14th by @WindsorWire said it best. MI6 doesn't move lightly. If Meghan was handed Kate's private schedule, someone inside the palace is about to lose everything. This wasn't just about jealousy anymore. This was about secrets, about lines you don't cross, cross, even as royalty. And then, the most unexpected twist, a former communications officer who worked for Meghan finally stepped forward, but not willingly. Leaked reports say this former staffer was subpoenaed after deleted messages from their work phone were recovered during the palace's digital audit. And those messages, whoa, they weren't just chit-chatting, they referenced Kate's appearances, her press briefings, and most shockingly, a full set of internal talking points for William and Kate's Africa Summit appearance. One message sent days before the event read, "She's prepping to mention childhood trauma and UK outreach. Push Archetypes launch forward. Timing is critical." What? This was before anyone knew Archetypes was even relaunching. On July 15th, at Crown Leaks posted, Meghan's team not only had Kate's speech outlined, they used it to launch PR bombs that would overshadow it. This isn't sabotage, it's a full campaign. And when this former comm staffer was questioned, they didn't deny it. But what they did say sent the whole investigation spinning in a new direction. Meghan had a list, a literal codenamed list, Rosebud, and it detailed every public engagement Kate had planned for 2024 and 2025. And next to each item, notes like counter with US appearance, leak before she arrives, spin to look reactionary. This wasn't just rivalry, this was war. And here's the kicker. The comms officer said the list wasn't Meghan's idea. It was given to her by someone higher up. They would name names, but they said just one thing. They're higher up than you think. On July 15th, at Palace Watchdog tweeted, "If someone high-ranking in royal PR was feeding Meghan info, then nothing was accidental. This is treason with pearls." And behind closed palace doors, the legal gears began to turn. Because if even one part of this is true, it's not just Meghan on the line, it's the entire monarchy. And just when we thought it couldn't go further, a second tape dropped. A second tape didn't sneak out quietly. Oh no, it wasn't leaked on Reddit or slipped into some shadowy Telegram group. It was sent directly to top reporters across Europe, a time-stamped Dropbox link, plain as day, labeled transcript_opal_14 MPP4. At first, people thought it was AI, a deepfake maybe. But the second Meghan's voice came through the clip, there was no denying it. It was her, calm, controlled, calculated. And what did she say? "Tell me everything about Kate." Then she added, "Start from the Scotland trip. Who prepped her? Who approved the dress? I want names this time." The other end of the call, quiet. The man, older, definitely British, hesitated. That's risky. You're already in too deep." And Meghan? Her response was ice cold. "If I go down, I'm not going alone. You know that." That sentence, it blew the internet apart. By the end of the day, not going alone was trending in 11 countries. On July 15th, at Regal Expose tweeted, "Meghan literally threatened to take others down with her if exposed. What does she know? Why does it sound like blackmail?" Analysts were shaken not just by the tone, but by what she said next. In the rest of that tape, Meghan allegedly referenced Kate's private mental health struggles, never officially confirmed, but hinted at for years. She also dropped a name, Angela, a palace press briefer, and accused her of filtering Kate's speeches before they went public. And then Meghan demanded something that made even seasoned royal insiders gasp. She wanted a folder from William's team leaked as retaliation. "If anything comes out about me," she said, "leak that file." This wasn't a meltdown, this wasn't a rant, this was negotiation. Ruthless, intentional. Even some of Meghan's defenders were in shock. A BBC insider whispered to a reporter, "This isn't miscommunication, arbitration. It's espionage and lip gloss." Fake tweets went viral in every direction. At Inside Windsor, the palace has never moved this fast. Guards reassigned. 2 senior aides gone in 48 hours. Something huge is breaking. And through it all, the Queen remained silent. William looked visibly shaken during his weekly speech, and Kate, she canceled 2 appearances, no explanation given. But behind closed doors, MI6 wasn't stopping. Because if Meghan had access to all of this, to sensitive info about Kate, William, even Charlotte, then someone was handing it over. And that answer came fast. At 2:17 IEM, a 92-page security report was filed by UK counterintelligence. Then came the bombshell, a sworn declaration from a former palace assistant who worked directly with Meghan in her final months before the royal exit. The document wasn't public, but reporters got their hands on bits and pieces through encrypted WhatsApp channels. And most controversially, a complete ban on Meghan attending UN functions without full royal vetting. Meghan's side, silence, no podcast, no Instagram statement, no Archewell update, strategic silence. Maybe. Guilt? Maybe that too. But one thing was clear, if MI6 already had this much and transcripts were still leaking, what else were they sitting on? Because according to insider sources, 2 more files existed. File names Rowan_final OOW_300 MPP3. And whatever's inside them, the palace is moving fast to contain it before it detonates the rest of the institution. A redacted parliament briefing was leaked to a handful of select reporters. 2 things were confirmed: Meghan's voice in the tapes, authenticated. MI6 had flagged the calls as a Category 4 breach of institutional confidentiality. That means attempted infiltration of state alarm planning, even if no action was taken. And the most damning element of all, these weren't coded messages, not filtered through staff or legal teams. This was Meghan. Direct, no firewall, no handlers, just her voice and someone who knew way too much. In a BBC roundtable that night, a former palace communications director shook the panel with one line: "We used to worry about Meghan airing family drama. That was tabloid fodder. But this is geopolitical strategy. She wasn't just watching Kate. She was trying to shape the stage before it was even built." Public reaction was brutal. Immediate. Royal blogger Linda Price tweeted, "Imagine being Kate. You prep to speak about women's rights at the UN, and your own sister-in-law tries to steal your spotlight behind your back. This is bigger than we thought." And then came the thunderclap. The palace issued a formal statement. Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, retains full diplomatic confidence from the Crown and government. Authorized attempts to compromise these processes are being taken seriously and addressed through appropriate channels. And Meghan? Still nothing, only a vague comment from her spokesperson. The Duchess was unaware of any unauthorized access or misrepresentation. Any third-party communication should not be conflated with her official position. But no one was buying it. Behind palace walls, King Charles himself had allegedly greenlit a classified review. Translation: if more proof surfaced, Meghan could be permanently stripped of any ceremonial access for good. And remember that last leaked audio? Sunday_all MPP3 sources say it's a direct call between Meghan and a former palace tech aide, a deal, a trade, a bargain. If that file leaks, we might finally learn exactly how she got her hands on that info. For now, the palace waits. Kate's UN appearance is still scheduled, but now with head of state security protocols, because after all this, no one knows what Meghan's next move is. But what's absolutely clear? She was listening, she was planning, and she might not have been acting alone.